This episode of the Coarse podcast has been sponsored in part by Irving Cliff Brewery. If you're in Northeast Pennsylvania and you're looking for some of the finest craft beer around, look no further than the Irving Cliff Brewery, located at 2 Chapel Street in lovely historic Honesdale. With an attention to detail that feels high-end and small-town comfort, Irving Cliff Brewery does beer, and they do it very, very well. Irving Cliff Brewery, 2 Chapel Street, Honesdale, PA 18431. Now on to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coarse podcast. With you as always, host creator Sean Rossler. How the hell are you doing this evening? Hey, you know what? Social media has always played a huge part in just about everyone's lives today. Whether it's sharing a picture of the kids, ranting political, or something entirely different. The platform is there. It's been there. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And that's a topic for my other career. It's how the show got started, really, and how I contact the majority of guests and share with you new episodes, ideas, merchandise, and so on. But as luck would have it, there's this guy, this chef I bumped into virtually, mind you, having no knowledge of him previously, and from our brotherly love of a certain current Top Chef contestant, we figured we should do an episode. And do an episode we are. Tonight's guest has a rap sheet, no, not that kind, about a mile long, and his credentials are nothing short of extensive. 2009 ACF Chef of the Year, a culinary arts instructor at the Art Institute, a corporate executive chef for Tex Wasabi's Johnny Garlic's, Guy Fieri Digs for those not in the know, an executive chef and cookbook contributor for Nordstrom Cafe Bistro, and an executive chef for Hilton Hotels. If that weren't enough, he's all over the place in media, both food and otherwise, including CW31's Good Day Sacramento, KCRA's A-List, Spike TV's Bar Rescue, Food Network's Cutthroat Kitchen, and Guy's Grocery Games, as well as FYI's Man vs. Child Chef Showdown and Food Factory Night Shift. Amidst all of this, he's recently partnered with business consultant Ali Walter in a formal partnership for her food truck profit formula, as he's currently the owner-operator of the Culinerdy Cruzer food truck. I know it's a little soon. The interview hasn't even started, but I might just love this guy. Could be true. Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, my guest this evening, media standout, food personality, and all-around badass, the man behind Culinerdy, Chef Keith Breedlove. Chef Breedlove, welcome to the program, sir. How are you doing this evening?
I'm fantastic, man. Thanks for having me here, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I say evening. It's early evening for you. You're West Coast, and we're East Coast, so we're cold, and you're probably not.
You know, it's a beautiful day out here in California, and it was a perfect California day. It is nice and warm. It was beautiful.
You know, we're just meeting. You don't need to rub it in so quick. I mean, let's be fair. So, anyway, dude, thank you so much again for doing the show. For folks new to the program, for folks existing to the program with a short memory span and everybody in between, starters, mains, afters, that's the format of the show. Starters, we're going to talk to the chef about where he came from, what brought him to where he's at, and mains will be where he's at. What is it he's doing? What's the 5-year plan? And finally, afters, a little bit more off the cuff, a little more out in left field, but no one's ever been injured, and I don't foresee that happening today from mere questions. So without further ado, Chef Keith, tell me about where and what you grew up eating.
I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and unfortunately, my upbringing was, I don't know, unfortunately is the right word, but I was raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs and went to school. So I grew up pretty much eating SpaghettiOs, box mac and cheese, Steakums, cold cereals, and pretty much grew up the way most latchkey kids in the 70s and early 80s did, and that was on cans of soup and all that good stuff.
Right on, yeah. And I can somewhat relate, certainly not, to that extent, but yeah, I think that was a commonality of our time, growing up. If you were going home to the empty house and you just sling something together, and I think to a degree it's not the worst thing in the world, because I think it instills a bit of independence in you.
I have to agree with you 100%. I think for me it was a matter of, I could take care of myself and a good strong sense of independence. Well, what really led me to wanting to cook was I wanted something a little bit more than what I was, getting at that point. And what was really fun about it is I used to feed my neighborhood kids. The kids would come to my house, and I was the one that would be making spaghetti dinner for everybody. And mom come home, and there'd be 10 kids hanging out in our house eating spaghetti that I had gone to the store and got. And I wasn't even more than 10 years old at the time, and it was just it was a fun. It brought. I think at that point I learned about how food can bring communities and bring kids and people together.
Yeah, yeah, and just real quick, if my mother's listening, Mom, I'm not saying you never made dinner. Let's just get that out of the way before I'm cut out of the will. But yeah, I think that's such a cool thing to note and such a cool thing to experience. Even though maybe at the time you didn't realize it, I think full forward you're seeing it for what it is. So going beyond, because it wasn't always SpaghettiOs canned soup. I'm sure there were dinner moments, there were family moments. What kind of an eater would you say you were outside of the realm of that, canned prep room?
I'm picky. I mean, when I was a kid, it was worse. I don't know if I've been pretty open on with a lot of the stuff I shows I've done. I've talked to is I have Asperger's, so I'm on the autism spectrum. And as a child, it was a lot more inherent in that food couldn't touch. I had to eat one thing at a time. I couldn't move on to the potatoes if I hadn't finished my corn. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really, one of the things that's really good is I wasn't set necessarily in what I had to eat. But I really have always, there's certain dinners that have major emotional attachments to. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, every year my birthday, we go to Sizzler. I got to have my rib on my birthday. We weren't necessarily a family that could afford to eat out often. So for that being my birthday dinner, it was a really big deal to me. And then every Thanksgiving, we go to my grandparents, and I have my Thanksgiving dinner. And to this day, turkey, mashed potatoes, and corn and gravy is the cure-all to any ills that I may have. And that was, I was picky in that I don't like anything that had strong smells to it. Onions, peppers, mm-hmm. Those kind of things were definitely affected my gag reflex.
Sure. And I mean, that almost brings a total new definition to comfort food.
Exactly. But when you talk about comfort food, I mean, comfort food is usually a dish that invokes a memory. It's so funny that this is like the fourth time today the food as a memory or an emotion has been brought up. So there's something going on today about emotions and food. I did a local TV show this morning and made this dish that was very a romantic-ish kind of risotto that was warm and then we started talking about that, and then later on we talked about. So it definitely, there's such a huge thing involved in it, and I think comfort food as a general industry in itself is that which eases your pain. I mean, whether it be spaghetti that your nonna made you, or broccoli cheese soup, or which my wife, for sure, anytime she needs healing, it's broccoli cheese soup or tomato soup. So I mean, that's really pretty awesome thing.
Right on. Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to steer out of order here for a minute because there's just something I have to. You brought up an amazing point about comfort food and it being that which cures all ails, and yet I think still culinarily as a society, and you can certainly, you've got the West Coast representation professionally, I've got the East Coast amateur hour, but we still have this problem with being okay with comfort food. We feel like if food's going to be good, it's got to be tweezed, foamed, flapped, flamed, or some shit like that. And we still seem uncomfortable with comfort food having the title of cure-all that it should be. Do you see that changing anytime soon?
I don't. What I see what's going on, and what I believe what you just addressed is a product of the food TV culture. Now, I'm not knocking an industry I'm proud to be a part of, but at the same time, how many plates can you? look at that, you're like, what is this? And I'm loving the creativity in that, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's my age now or what, but I love to know what's on my plate.
Yeah.
And I don't think how I'm not really sure how to put this, but like, I'm watching Top Chef, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Top Chef for all 13 seasons. And one of my complaints always has been that the best chefs in this country aren't doing fine dining,
Right.
aren't doing the tweezified foamed stuff. I've been doing foams and molecular, what now is termed as molecular gastronomy,
Yeah.
for over 15 years. And I remember 15 years ago working out how to do foams.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's a great compliment. And yes, the techniques are a great tool to have in your resume or your reservoir or your repertoire. That's the word I'm looking for.
I got you all 3 times there. No worries.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, is if you can't cook a steak properly, you can't that blue cheese fontina foam that you throw on top of it isn't gonna mean shit.
Exactly. Exactly. You can put a top hat on a pile of dog shit, and it's still a pile of dog shit with a top hat.
It's funny because I remember I worked for a big name celebrity chef as his corporate chef for a while, and he's all about the comfort food that leaves barbecue sauce on your face, and all
Mm-hmm.
about, you know he's he's known for being the everyday guy, let's eat some good food guy.
Right.
But he once said, he says, I made this kind of a foofy dish, and the flavors were all there and all that. He goes, you know how many of these dishes are nothing more than chocolate sauce put on dog shit? You can't If you can't cook that, no matter how beautiful your sauce or your thinly sliced radishes or your microgreens are, if that steak has no flavor, it's tough or chew, it ain't gonna matter.
Exactly.
So that's where I find that, like, running the food truck has made me focus so much more on that aspect of, I may be cooking you just what most people would say is just a hamburger,
Yeah.
but that hamburger has elements in it that would be on your fine dining plate.
Exactly. Exactly. Going back about 20 episodes now, I can't believe this is episode 31, by the way. Going back about 20 episodes, I had, speaking of Top Chef, Chef Lisa Fernandez, who is doing the Sweet Chili New York City food truck.
Okay.
And she said one of the most, I don't know if it was humbling, I forget the adjective she used, but one of the most humbling things, I'll use that, is that you are on display when you work in a food truck. Now, let's take on display and break that down. Sure, physically, you're out there. And I asked her about her mouth, and she's like, well, I can't swear. We're having kids watching us. I'm like, okay, cool. But on display, too, I mean, when you're in that pseudo-confined space and, you're still pushing, everything is viewable. Everything is figuratively visible that you do.
You're 3 feet from your customer.
That's it, man.
And 9 out of 10 times too is I get to plate it, turn around, and hand it to them, and that's the thing I love most about this industry.
I was just gonna say that's got to be gratifying as hell to be able to do that.
It is. It's also the thing too is it makes you. If you are a chef, if you are a cook, if you are a hardcore cook at your soul, it is also one of the most nerve-wracking things because you are literally putting yourself not only out there, but figuratively, you're reaching out and handing something and saying, I want you to eat this food that I made for you.
You no longer have front of the house to buffer that blow.
You don't have anybody. I mean, people walk up to our truck and look right in the window and like, hey, how's it going back there? Or, they'll come and go, there's the big man. I see him back there.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing too is on the flip side of that, the thing that is awesome is how well I know my clients too. I know them. I could see him walk up, and they're three people deep in line. I go, all right, I know that he's going to want this way, and let's get it started for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, as a cook, it's almost essentially the same as, I use you're laying your soul to bear. You're laying this out there, and you're saying, look, this is my hands. I don't have anybody else's name to hide behind.
Mm-hmm.
I have no buffer. I have no line cook that I have to rely upon. It's purely me. And it's made me such a better cook, to the point where I am more proud to say I am a food truck cook than to say that I'm a chef.
I hear that. Yeah, it's that just vulnerability, I think, is the word overall. Again, going even further back, one of my first guests was a local, who I consider to be just an amazing, incredible, ungodly chef, Gary Vatican, episode 4, who has since become great friend of the family, basically an uncle to the kids. Awesome. I'll spare you those details. But one Saturday night, we decided to have Chef and his husband Michael over for dinner, and I was cooking for him. And I on a very small scale, believe me, I'm not putting myself on your level or anywhere near it, but that feeling of, dear God Jesus, as the plate is leaving your hand, I hope he likes it. Let him just like it. Maybe he'll love it, but let him like it.
I will tell you from my standpoint, I mean, that's something that once, especially more so now with a lot of the publicity and a lot of the high profile stuff, I've been very, very honored to do. I hear that, oh, I would never want to cook for you. And that, I'm going to tell you, I'm sure I speak for every one of us that does this for a living. Please cook for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what Gary said. Gary's like, John, I don't care if it's macaroni and cheese, or he said something like that. He's like, exactly. I'm not cooking.
Open the box. I don't care. I'm sitting here and you're sharing your soul with me.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing. And, when I get asked, what's your favorite meal? And my answer is always the one that I didn't make.
Yeah. Yep.
What's your favorite thing to eat when you're not working? The answer is anything, as long as I don't have to do it.
Precisely. My wife and I frequently say to each other, the food always tastes better when the other, partner makes it. And it's true. It's true.
It's like, I know, every chef's, I pretty much can say that we're probably pretty similar in that when you walk out of your kitchen after 14 days, the last thing you want to do is think about what you want to eat. I personally have the biggest junk food habit, because of the fact that by the time I'm like, oh God, I'm hungry, everything's packed up. Especially with what I do now is, we pack the truck up before we leave the site. So by the time I drive back to the yard, park it at the yard, clean it, everything's not only put away, but it's already been cooled down for storage temperatures and wrapped. So you're kind of like, yeah, now I'm hungry and I have time to eat, and nothing's up here. Or if you did make something, like I remember one time I was talking to a chef, buddies of ours, and we're like, when's the last time you ate a hot meal in your own restaurant? Because usually you start to eat, throw it up on the pass, and it sits.
Yeah.
And then the rush is over, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot my pasta. You grab it and start eating it. People think chefs eat well, and to be, as everybody pretty much could tell you, we generally don't.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. But going back, it's that soul, it's that vulnerability, and it's certainly busy beyond human comprehension. Those that have never done it, and I kind of joke, like, yes, I was on the line for one summer. That was enough for me. I realized I don't know that I could, handle that pace. And so between vulnerability, the pace of it all, I mean, it is a miraculous field. And then to put it in a food truck like you do and have it on display for the world to see, I mean, you're doing something incredible. No question.
It's definitely, it's a different animal, and it's scary at the same time, because You know, you can think you're a great cook, you can think you're a great chef, but bottom line, you get into a food truck, the answer also becomes is, can I change my oil? Can I
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
tires?
Yep.
Um, did I remember to put propane in the truck? And my wife will tell you I've forgotten twice. And one of the times was the middle of a wedding when we went, our grill feels a little chilly. It's getting cool in here. And you're like, yeah, we're out of propane.
Oh shit.
And luckily, my this was one of my trainings for Cutthroat Kitchen is well, let's figure out how we're gonna make this happen now.
Oh
And,
Jesus.
and these are the things that you have to deal with too, though. I mean, it's like you're on your way to a wedding and you're in traffic.
Yep.
Is there something you can do?
Yep.
We did an event. We did an event that it was raining. It was a wine stop on this huge wine tour throughout the valley, and our fuel pump on the truck blew out about a mile away from the venue. And we're out in the rain pushing the truck a mile down the road
No. Oh
get
my God.
to get it in spot so that we can serve. I mean, we were like, okay, how's the contingency? What can we do? What can we do? And it ended up being just a faulty fuse. But the same thing is like if I didn't know how to fix my truck, that wouldn't have been a simple fuse.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but when I was in culinary school, I took HVAC classes. I took classes on repairing restaurant equipment. The junior college that I went to had a program of training people to fix kitchen equipment, and I took those classes because I wanted to know how to fix my own shit. Because
You don't
bottom
want
line,
to be waiting on somebody else to do that.
oh heck no,
Right.
the reason for that was the kitchen I was working in when I was 18 years old. Middle of dinner, the grill shut off. The pilot lights went out. I mean, stuff happens, and you can't have a dining room full of people that are sitting there waiting for the repairman to show up.
Right.
And heaven forbid if it's Sunday. I mean, there's your sales for
Oh
your
Jesus.
day.
Yeah.
So I've always been of the mind that I need to be able to do everything. And now that I pretty much have, I can't think of anything oh my God, my wife's sitting here in front of me going, water tank, water
No.
tank.
What happened with the water tank?
But this is one of my favorite food truck life stories. The food trucks, we have a 25-year-old food truck. The water tank is a gravity fed tank. It's a 60-gallon tank that if you're looking at a truck, it's the back end of it. It's above the grill. There's a big section above it that holds the tank. Well, we've been smelling some burning plastic it's been in Sacramento. It gets up to 130 to 140 degrees in this truck. And we'd been smelling plastic, and we're like, what the heck is that plastic smell? Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's such a. So, we just kept going. And then I was getting ready to go to our annual health inspection. And you have to have everything fired up for a couple hours. And then it's a 35-minute drive out to where the inspections are. So we get out there, and we're going through the inspection, and everything's good. And the inspector looks at the back of the truck where the grill is. He goes, how come there's water everywhere back there? And I'm looking going, that's weird because I cleaned it all out when we left. I cleaned out the grease trap and all that, but looked like a lake of water. And I go to turn the water faucet on to check the temperature, and nothing's coming out. And we get back to the yard, we fill up the tank, and water's just pouring out of where it is. So I had to take it out, and sure enough, there's a big burnt hole in the water tank.
Oh my God.
Now, here's a 25-year-old piece of equipment that trying to find a replacement for. And the worst part was we had the largest event of the year about 4 days away with an on-site inspection. So we had to I had to think quick, and luckily I found I found a place that had used RV water tanks that I was able to get get one that just fit the space. And that was the biggest key, was to get the space, get it fixed, and get us through the weekend.
Right.
And that's that's just kind of what we do. You've got to, because if I can't leave that yard that day, guess what? I ain't making any money.
You make money, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Going back to the beginning of this to now, people watch the reality shows, quote unquote reality. Let's use quotes around that, pretty heavy ones at that. People watch them and consider these challenges to be outlandish. Top Chef this season was Cook in the Sun. But challenges like that, challenges kind of throwing you curveballs like that, that's your day in, day out, Keith, yes?
Yes. It's so funny because, like, when I did Cutthroat Kitchen, they're like, "Do you think you have an advantage?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I have an advantage. Every day is Cutthroat Kitchen to me."
Yep.
It's like, you can't throw anything at me that I haven't already encountered yet, and pretty much they didn't. I mean, it was stuff that, all right, so you want me to cook with what? That's no problem. I pretty much do that now every once in a while. Oh, you want to take away my heat source? Okay, propane's run out. I can handle that.
Right.
But the thing about that is with these reality shows specifically, I think Cutthroat Kitchen is something that as a viewer watches and go, "Oh my God, how do they deal with this?" I have yet to see anything that comes up on Cutthroat Kitchen that I haven't seen pretty much happen in a real kitchen.
Right.
I mean,
and see, you've seen it happen, but you're in touch with it. I think some of these, and this is not to disparage anybody culinarily, but I think some of these celebrities / contestants are so well buffeted by the talent around them that they can't survive. They can't be on their own 2 feet. Whereas that's your everyday.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny because one of the things I've talked about with a producer of a show that is currently in the works is about that is let's take quote celebrity chef and throw them in a kitchen and say, "Here you go, do 50 covers, go."
Mm-hmm.
Can
yeah. Can you do it?
Now that wear the chef title and are quote celebrity chefs that have never run a kitchen,
right?
And while they have some great knowledge, are they relatable to the average guy that's been humping a stove for 10 years, that his reality is in the middle of service, he has to duct tape the pipes together to keep airflow coming to his oven?
Exactly. Take that celebrity chef and have some staged quote unquote accidents happen.
You know what I'd love to do is I'd love to take some of these fine dining chefs I see. There's a few on the season of Top Chef right now that I know and I respect and absolutely admire, and I'd love to take their little pansy asses and stick them on my truck for a couple hours in the middle of the summer with me on a luncheon for 150 people and say, "All right, jackass, let's go."
I think there's a handful. If you watch Top Chef Masters, just as an example, I could probably name the ones that would be able to survive that, and I probably count them on one hand.
Yeah,
one hand.
And that's the sad part, though. But I love to see that there's a lot of guys like me, though, that are coming up into the celebrity chef realm, because frankly, as a cook coming up in the industry, I had nobody to really look up to, because I never ever aspired to be a fine dining chef. I never aspired to be a Thomas Keller. I've loved and admire the man greatly, but I just knew that wasn't where my talents lie.
Right.
My talents lie in that I can crank out a dinner for 500 people and consistent, delicious food in a good amount of time. And that's what I'm good at. I'm good at organizing 8 banquets at one time. And that's where my skills lie. While, yes, I love the food, French Laundry, Alinea, those guys are idols to me, but because mostly of their passion and their love for what we do. I really, one time I really wanted to do the Bocuse d'Or.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as I studied Rich Rosendale, who is one of my culinary idols, I just knew I didn't have what it took to do something like that. Uh, he's got this movie out now, The Contender. I don't know if you've seen it. It follows the path of his journey to the Bocuse d'Or and what it takes. And that's something I think every young cook needs to watch and say, look, this is perfection. And like the NFL, you may never reach that point, but knowing that it's there and learning from it will make every omelet you make, every burger you flip that much better.
Gives you something, gives you something to strive for.
And I don't care if you flip burgers. I'd flip burgers. I'm a certified executive chef with 8 national TV shows under my belt, and I cook burgers every day. But I cook a damn good burger.
I was going to say, but burgers are fucking delicious. So, well, I mean...
I approach it as though I'm putting a steak dinner on a bun.
That's
how we approach it. And, I approach it with a sense of science. Like, how, when you bite into it, what's the first thing hitting your nose? What's the first thing hitting your tongue? And those are things that make the experience better. But people go, that's a little bit too much. But you know what? It's not. It's what makes me happy. It's what drives me to be better, to make you happy. So that's kind of, the whole thing. It's funny as I'm saying this, I'm looking at my Facebook feed here, and Rich Rosendale has posted a thing about Alinea, Miami.
Right on. But no, that's and that whole concept gets back to the whole, we're gonna paint comfort food ugly because it's not artsy. Well, a burger is comfort food, but god damn it, I've got Hubert Keller's burger cookbook, and true story. One of the first times we cracked it, we made the New York strip burgers. So it's basically a burger stuffed with New York strip. It's fucking to die for. And right. No shit, that night we get a call from a friend of a friend, and former New York Giant Henry Hynoski's back in town. He lives local, and he shows up, and here's a Super Bowl champion eating one of these New York strips. A New York Giant eating a New York strip in our kitchen. I'm like, holy shit, when did this happen?
That's pretty...
And trust me, that night, he wasn't thinking too much, and none of us were thinking about, oh, well, that's too much for a burger. No, that's an awesome burger, and like you said, that's a steak dinner on a bun.
Well, that's the biggest thing. It's like, we get comments sometimes. I mean, my burgers are $13. Mm-hmm. And we serve them all with a side because, you like to have something to nibble on in between bites. I look at it as like, if all I have is my burger and I'm cranking into this thing, I need to take a breath and you need to rest for a second. And that's where you pick up the French fry or in our case, the flash fried Brussels sprouts. And that's
whoa, what? Come again?
Well, the thing about the Culinerdy Cruzer is we are all about what tastes great and what's fun. And one of the dishes that we have actually gotten a bit of notoriety and fame for here locally is we serve one of our special items is flash fried Brussels sprouts. They are whole Brussels sprouts thrown into a 375-degree fryer for about 30 seconds and then seasoned with our special secret seasoning and then drizzled with a fig-infused balsamic glaze. And people come from miles to get these. They crave them. Little do they know we add a little bit of additive. One of the special ingredients is love. Don't say crack. Yeah, but I mean, essentially it is because we have some seasonings on there that enhance it that are based around science, and it's a perfect balance. And we go through. Let's see, this weekend on Saturday alone, we went through 32 pounds of Brussels sprouts.
Stop it. Wow, that's a lot, man.
That's compared to 30 pounds of French fries. And we offer equal fries or sprouts as your side dish. Mm-hmm. And your average portion is about 4 ounces of sprouts per side. And we go through a ton of Brussels sprouts to where, we actually have a phrase now, may the sprouts be with you.
Nice.
And we've joked about we could wrap our entire truck in Brussels sprouts and serve Brussels sprouts with a side of hamburger.
Oh,
But it's just something that is unique and different. But it goes back to we'll jump all the way back to what we were saying earlier about comfort food. Is Brussels sprouts are a much maligned comfort food because somebody didn't cook them properly for you. You're thinking, ew, ew. And we will force people to have them. They're like, oh, I hate Brussels sprouts. No, dude, try this. And then they take, that's not what my mama used to make. So it goes back again to what we talked about earlier, the comfort food thing.
you're killing me because, okay, side note again. Mom, you're listening. I know. Episode 4, I said you cooked them wrong. I still believe that to be true because you basically did the whole baptism, exorcism, boil the hell out of them kind of thing. Gary, again, Chef Gary, our dear friend locally, does Brussels sprouts just to die for, and I've tried to replicate. I cannot. He won't show me. So he's basically got the addict on call 24/7. That's great. Good for him. But yeah, Brussels sprouts, they're this home style thing. Like you said, gets this broad swath of bastard shade paint, and yet now it seems like people are coming around to start doing them justice.
Well, it's like if I was to tell you that tonight we're having chip beef on toast.
Shit on a shingle.
Shit on a shingle.
Yeah.
In SOS. Now that will invoke a memory of you as a child. I mean, for me, my grandfather was career Air Force, and that was standard fare for him in the Air Force. And when we would have it at home, he would comment, "Man, this takes me back to when I was in England or London on during the war." And so for me, that dish, no matter how floury that sauce or that gravy may taste, the only thing I'll hear is my papa's voice telling me about London, as I eat this dish. And could I do it justice and remake it better? Probably could. And it's one of those dishes, if I was to serve there and serve it in a way, it will never, ever, ever match what Grandma made.
Well, that's it. That's it. And funny you should segue right into that because that was one of my next questions. The foods that pain you, the nostalgia foods from your youth. That sounds like that's definitely one of them.
Well, definitely SOS. I still will admit a great love of Denison's chili, of SpaghettiOs, Hot Pockets.
Dude, cheese ravioli in a can. For me, my wife just ordered off Amazon Prime this big thing of it's the organic kind, the Annie's thing for our 2-year-old turned 3-year-old today, and she walks in the pantry one time, and here I am with a can opener. I'm grabbing a can. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm hungry."
Dude,
that's it.
That is exactly it, and that's something that people will always say that. Oh, I don't eat like that. You know what? I'll go get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or 4. And be in heaven.
That's the bastardizing of comfort food, though. We're not comfortable saying, "Hey, this is what we really like." If you're a chef, if you're a podcast host, if you're a diner in a restaurant, where does that boundary come from?
And yeah, it's like, why are you shaming anything?
Shaming, comfort food shaming, CFS. We're terming it tonight, Keith.
We are going. That's my new goal right now, and we're gonna launch this campaign to end the shaming of comfort food.
Comfort food shaming. You have a graphic designer here too, so I think a logo might be coming out.
I think that would be a great little. We are re-embracing.
We're taking it back. Well,
what's interesting is, like, for example, one of the things that when we first started this food truck industry is our first truck was called Papa Dale's Drive-In Diner. And it was a homage to my grandfather, Papa Dale, who was my father figure, my role model in my life. And it was a dedication to all the food that his era loved. We embraced like the mac and cheeses, the grilled cheeses, but with a modern twist. And one of the things that we really loved and we always kind of spoke about, and it's a huge part of the Culinerdy brand, is food should make you feel good and not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if I'm going to have a burger, and that's one of the reasons we started adopting the burger porn kind of thing too, was if you take my hamburger, we weighed one of them yesterday. We weighed our cowboy burger. We were like, we made it, it was perfectly, we're great at it because there's only 3 of us. So, inconsistencies are fairly rare. We weighed it. It was a pound and a half when it was done. Between the burger patty, the pulled pork, the cheese, the slaw, the sauces, the bun, and a side of sprouts, it was a pound and a half in that container.
Jesus, Keith, it's 10 o'clock here. I can't be eating right now. Come on.
I'm gonna send you some pictures.
No.
What's really funny is lately you never know how many things come together. I just got the photographs of modern cuisine book.
Yeah.
And there's a 2-page diatribe in there on the term food porn.
Oh.
And we've had people give us grief for it, and I go, but the thing is good food should be salacious.
Absolutely.
Good should tease you like dirty naughty porn does. It should make you feel dirty for loving it. It should make you feel, because it's just beautiful. It inspires you in ways and moves you. And the thing is food is the second most intimate thing you can do.
That's right.
Me cooking for somebody is they're putting their life in my hands. They're trusting me to take care of them, and that's the way it works.
That's it. So can I assume, going back to my list of questions, which we have so blown out of the water, and I could give a shit less right now, that your greatest culinary influence was your grandfather?
My greatest culinary influence is my grandfather.
Right on, man. That's tight.
He wanted to be a chef. He really did. He wanted to cook. And he went into the Air Force, and he was in communications during World War II. Spent a lot of time stationed in India. And when I was growing up, they lived in Napomo, which is a little town outside of Santa Maria, California. Now, you're East Coast, but you're pretty well known with food, so I'm sure you know what a tri-tip is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Most people on your end of the coast have no clue what it is. Santa Maria.
Most people on my coast don't have a lot of ideas about things. But anyway, moving on. Well, no disrespect, East Coast. Jesus, now I'm going to get like gang threats.
That's okay. When they realize how wonderful tri-tip is and what they're missing out on, maybe we can start a revolution.
Tri-tip's amazing. It's all right. Comfort food shaming and tri-tip promotion.
Right.
I think we're good. All right.
The thing is the tri-tip. So I grew up spending my weekends in Santa Maria, the home of the tri-tip, cooking at the Elks Lodge on a big old barbecue, chicken and tri-tips with him. And, him telling me stories. I always wanted to be a chef, but because his generation, it wasn't okay. It wasn't a good career to follow. And he told me at a very early age that get a job in a restaurant, you'll never be hungry and you'll never be unemployed. Because people got to eat.
Yeah.
And that's something that nothing will ever change. And as we get more evolved and devolved as a society, it'll never change. I mean, we go back and forth between, fine dining being the rage. And right now, I think the biggest rage we're seeing is chef-driven comfort food and chef-driven quick service. And the chefs kind of taking back good food done quickly and done efficiently. As a society, we no longer do our 3-hour meal periods, but wouldn't it be great to be able to get that quality meal in the 30 minutes that you have?
Yeah. For sure. So, inspiration identified. when was the moment for you? You know, you talk about the chicken and the tri-tips and those moments. I mean, was that before, during, or after the moment you realized, like, fuck, this isn't just something I put in my body and I send out the remnants. Like, this is art, this is life, this is what I want to do. When was that moment for you, man?
You know, to be honest, that was like, I'd say 3 years ago. Maybe, no, probably close to 5. You know, I've been in kitchens for 30 years, and the biggest reason I started cooking was because I was good at it.
Right.
I was 16 years old. I was a busboy at a restaurant, having followed my grandfather's advice. And 16, I was a little bit of a wild child, and the cooks were the hardest partying bunch there. And they learned early on that the weird little nerdy kid in the back would do your prep if you left him a present once in a while on his apron. He would bust out your prep, and half the time it took you to do yours.
Right on.
And so I just found it fit. I remember everything I see extremely well, and I'm very a visual learner. And one Sunday during a Sunday brunch, a cook just didn't show up, and his shift, the restaurant's open, and the one guy that's in the line was just getting buried, and he was just in the weeds. And I'm watching him, and then I just jumped on the line, started grabbing tickets and flinging out plates. And it was just like I found a home that I could be good at and kind of still be alone. Mm-hmm. As much of a brigade as you might be, you're still alone.
It's team sports, but it's still individual scores.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I guess you could kind of say it's along the lines of baseball.
Yeah.
Not everybody can put a point on the board, but everybody has the opportunity to.
Yep.
And you may have that one great player, but if it wasn't for that amazing outfielder who can catch anything, that great player would never be anybody.
And you know what's phenomenal to me as the lay person, you know, I did a stint on the line and I did a stint as short order, both of which I value unequivocally. I mean, it is honestly two of the best memories of my life. One of the greatest things about that, though, is that I was finishing my bachelor's degree in being a high school English teacher while I was online. And I had a high school dropout chewing my ass when shit didn't get out on time because he was better than me, and I knew it. And it's one of the most beautiful things that the meritocracy, if you will, doesn't fucking exist behind the kitchen doors.
You hit something that when I like to speak to youth a lot. I go to junior highs, middle schools, high schools, whatnot, to speak with kids because of the fact that the kitchen is truly the last meritocracy in the world. It's all about, can you cook those omelets like you said you can, or can you not? I don't care if you're purple, red, green, 12 feet tall, 2 feet tall, 1 finger, 2 fingers. Can you do it? That's all that matters.
Yeah. Tony Bourdain, what does he say? The best Italian cooks in the world? Or, I'm sorry, the best French cooks in the world are Mexican.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There's no divisiveness. It doesn't matter. Either you can or you can't. And I challenge anybody listening to this show to find me one other example where that exists in the world today.
Yeah, I would be hard pressed to find anybody. I mean, you can either, the bottom line is what hits the plate in front of the diners. It does not matter who's making it. What matters is, does the plate get there? Yeah. Is it satisfy the proper needs of a diner? Does it satisfy the proper needs of the owner of the restaurant, of the chef, of the owner, of the manager? Is it going to meet? And bottom line, it doesn't matter who makes it. And that's something that a lot of these young kids need to learn. And the culinary programs I work with in the area here, it's the same thing. I go in and I'm going to tell you right now, every one of you is equal. Whether you're 60 and this is your 5th career, or you're 21 and you think you're a badass. If that 60-year-old person is going to outcook that 20, it doesn't matter. none of that matters. And that's, it's like,
that's the bottom line.
yeah, my wife's sitting here throwing stuff at me. It's like, my second in command on the truck and is my general manager going into the new restaurant we're looking to open.
Mm-hmm.
She's 49.
Yep.
And she's a badass, and she's only been in the kitchen maybe 3 years. We're like her first professional cooking job is working on a food truck with us. And I would put her against anybody on Top Chef, anybody in Cutthroat, anybody in any kitchen in this area, and she will outcook them, she will out-knowledge them, and she will outthink them. And to every young cook that is listening to these words, your brain and your mind and your choices are your sharpest tool in your toolbox.
Yeah, I have joked, but not joking. I would drop what I'm doing right now to go back in and line cook, sous chef for somebody in a heartbeat. Like, I think I'm at the point now where at 21, I couldn't do it. I couldn't put my shit together. Showing up hungover, still drunk, whatever. I think you have to learn that responsibility. Now, at this point, there's that love of it. Like your 49-year-old, there's a love of it and there's a responsibility with it. I'm like, game on. Let's go.
And that's the biggest thing that I think any young cook, and you had mentioned earlier about that the high school dropout or what and that's the thing that I used to always tell my cooks is, you got to understand something. I've had PhDs working for me when I was 24 years old. I had a guy that was a PhD in fish hatcheries and it's like, wait, fish hatcheries, but now you're cooking. I've got people that have left careers as one of the cooks that worked with me at the Hyatt Regency in Sac was a former linebacker for the San Diego Chargers.
Oh, shit.
And the thing is these guys would be like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, but my God, I love it.
Yeah. My car steering wheel, my 93 Plymouth Acclaim, when I lined at a seafood restaurant, during the summer no less, my steering wheel had a faint glow to it. At the end of the day, because of all the prep shit I did, it stank. The girl I was dating at the time, she'd get in the car, she'd be like, what the fuck smell? I'm like, all right, time to get the Armor All wipes out. But I didn't care, dude. I was in there 5A, and I was leaving at 2P. Oftentimes, the girl at the bar was nice. She'd hand me a 6-pack. And Sid, that was so rewarding.
You were working half days.
Yeah. I wasn't even on full. Let's be honest. I was amateur at best. But it was. I look back to that time, and it's kind of like, I know you got kids. We've got 3, and it's kind of like when you have one, and you're talking about having the second, you forget about all the shit you go through, and then you have 2, and you forget all the shit you went through. That's probably what I'm doing, but it's rewarding. It is a reward like no other. And I project manage IT right now. I don't feel the wins that I did when I was serving, 25 tables worth of breakfast service.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, the one thing I think that attracted me the most to this industry was exactly that, was the immediate gratification. There's nothing quite like the end of a service, and you look at your rail, you throw that last ticket on the pass, and you're like, yep. I just did it.
I'm out.
And there, and you're celebrating, and then you're cleaning up, and then that one table that walked in 2 minutes before you closed, and we'll eat fast comes in, and you want to go string them up. Yeah, that's a little. But I love my industry. I love what I do. I'm very proud of what my wife and I have accomplished. And, and the thing I think most people don't realize is that in order for any chef to be successful, they've got to have a spouse that is, in some instances, a bigger badass than they are. And I'm very fortunate because my wife is not only a bigger badass than I am, but she's been in the industry for years. She's pumped the line. She's a damn good cook. But the other thing is she knows, like, when to tell me, just fucking cook? Will you just shut up and cook?
Exactly.
Quit trying to be a foofy guy. But without her experience in the industry, she would never get the shit that that's one of the things we bonded over, was that we both have been in the shitter. We've both done it. We've done this, and we know. I mean, my first wife was an accountant, for God's sakes. So I talk about a mistake, but Amy is this amazing, adaptable person that has really just, without her, I would be pushing a shopping cart somewhere in Sacramento, talking to myself and screaming French culinary terms at cats. And I think,
well put, and that might be the greatest term of endearment I've ever heard for anybody on the show.
Yeah, it's just funny because I'm lucky that I'm the mouth of the family. I can go out there and be the obnoxious asshole, and Amy's the one that's like making sure that I get there in time to do it.
Funny thing, I think my wife would probably say the same thing. At least about the obnoxious asshole part, I'm not sure. But no, it's funny you mentioned that. My wife has actually written out a menu for our 5-year plan when we open something. And
Okay.
I'm actually going to Facebook message you the picture here when we wrap, just so you can see, because I think you'll appreciate it. But, looking at what it is you're doing now, so obviously, I mean, you've got not just a good thing, but a great thing going. Where is it that you pull from, inspiration-wise, to do what you do day in, day out, to create what you do day in, day out? Where do you pull from?
Wow. I don't know. Be honest with you, there are days where you pretty much go, I have nothing else. This is what I've done for 30 years. This is all I know. I have no choice but to go on. But then I'll pick up, oh, I see, there's your thing. I'll pick up, a book or a magazine and just be like, holy shit, I've got to try this. I've got to make this. I've got to do this. And look what he's doing. I could do that. I could do that. And it's a little bit of a sense of competition in that. But my biggest competition is I just always want to be a better person tomorrow than I am today. And I'm a big advocate for our food truck industry. And, lately, I've been seeing there's some stuff going on in Sacramento that somebody needs to step up and go, hey, you guys need to shut the hell up and we need to look at an answer here. And we've been successful. But only because we work hard at it and we make a huge effort. Mm-hmm. And we gotta. I try to be the voice of reality. I love your menu, by the way. I'm looking at it right now.
Right on.
3 boys, so it's named after your boys.
Named after the boys, 3 boys. But again, and take a look later. It's all comfort food.
It is. I see one of my absolute favorite things here. I see a Sloppy Joe.
Mm-hmm. But well done. Again, you can charge $5 for a Sloppy Joe or $13 for a Sloppy Joe with a well-composed side, and take it from there.
Well, one of the things I run is I do a vegan Sloppy Joe with I use cauliflower done 3 different ways: raw, blanched in hot sauce, and then also completely pureed, and lentils, and take that comfort food of what you're used to, and playing on it and just going, yeah, we can mess with that a little bit. We're gonna with that a little bit. We're gonna make that one just a little bit more different.
Right on.
And blow away your idea of what comfort food is. But what was it? My mind's jumping back to something we said earlier, and I want to bring up a counter that I had. Is I was a consultant at a Cajun Creole restaurant for a while. Being that Creole and Cajun and Southern food is one of my absolute fascinations, just purely for the fact that it's the true American cuisine. I believe there's nothing like Creole or Cayenne or Bayou food anywhere in the country, and I feel that that's a good indication of American food. Well, I had a lady come to me and she was saying, how good is your gumbo? I said, my gumbo's damn good. My grandmother used to make me gumbo. I go, okay, stop right there. I will never in a billion years be able to make anything better than your grandmother.
Exactly.
I don't care if it was the worst gumbo on the planet. The fact that your sweet grandma made it for you, put it in front of you, patted your head, and said, "Love you, baby. Eat your gumbo."
Right.
Never.
It's
I can.
never going to go beyond that, ever.
Something I try to tell people is when you start talking about authentic and authentic. Well, if I'm going to make you authentic Cajun food, that means I have to put a loud, noisy street next to you that smells like booze and vomit,
Right.
and have you hung over incredibly for a couple days before you eat it.
Which we can make that happen, let's be honest. But
We will make this happen. Here's part of the experience. You need to come in 2 days before your dinner.
we need to work you out. It's going to be $500 when we're done. No, it's true. And those preconceptions just fuck any kind of creativity out of the culinary industry, because I think some people are almost scared to push that envelope. I mean, what is if you had to look at your career, start to finish, obviously lengthy, amazing, awesome. What would you say is the greatest thing that you personally, Keith, put your stamp on, put it out, and said, "This is mine, bitches"?
I think what I do right now, this truck is been essentially when we changed brands from Papa Dale's to Culinerdy, it became okay. I am no longer hiding behind a brand that is, has a caricature, it has a theme and all that. I'm going to take what I believe in, what's my soul, my guts, my heart, my passions, and I'm just going to lay it all out here on the table for you and be like, hope you like it.
Yeah.
And so that is kind of the pinnacle of where we've been. And now we're in the process of putting together to open a brick and mortar that will be the exact same philosophy. Screw the corporate bullshit.
I agree.
Whole, stuffy in a box way, being with my particular superpowers. I've never lived in a box, so I can't think outside of it.
Nobody wants to eat that way. James Rigato from Boston. Do you remember him?
Yes.
James Rigato just opened. I say just opened. It's been a while. I can't believe the show's 31 fucking episodes. He just opened Mabel Gray off, I believe, 8 Mile Road, or is it 10 Mile Road? I forget which it is, in Detroit. But with that same mindset, it's like cool. It's really elegant, but everything's real homey. Everything's real comfortable. You can have a brick and mortar and not be a stuffed shirt just placating to the white-collar masses, if that makes sense.
I couldn't agree with you more. We've always joked that I wanted to open the place that you came in and went, well, how long am I going to wait for it? And the answer is going to be till it's done. And you're going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And it's just, and that's kind of how we are with the Cruzer, and how we've looked at it is like, if you want it done in 2 minutes, I'd be more than happy to hand you this raw hamburger. But if you want it done right and done well, shut up and wait.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I can't stand how many times people are like, well, I didn't get this at this restaurant and I didn't get this. Well, you know what? Then you just need to, what was it we saw, Amy? And we say, you may not necessarily, if you're a victim of bad service consistently, odds are you're a bad customer.
You're a bad customer. Absolutely. Oh my God. I talk about this obsessively almost when I'm in a restaurant. I will tip 100%. And I'm not exaggerating, inflating. We've done it. If you make my family and I feel comfortable and feel good, and there's good food as part of that equation, I will tip near 100%. Because that part of it is just as important.
Oh, totally. And that's something that, I would rather go somewhere um that I walk in and I'm just going to have fun. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it. We like to goof off and joke with people and shoot lasers at people. I have this wonderful laser pen because we do a lot of breweries in the area, and people will be inside with their beer and this and that, and their food's ready, and they're not coming out to pick it up. So I grab a laser pen and start shooting them with it, and be like, "Okay, come get."
That's good.
No, it's not the whole. We're not stuffy stuff shirt kind of people. I mean, I've got freaking I just got a cast iron skillet on fire tattooed on the front of my neck with a little UFO on it, and but a phrase is "cogita antes coces," is think before you cook.
Think before you cook. Yep.
And our insignia is a freaking Jolly Roger made out of radish and carrots. It's like you can't really take yourself too seriously especially when your truck is covered with comic book characters.
Exactly.
At the same time, it's
which
like
you do a fantastic job dressing up as, by the way. I'm just saying. I've seen it. It's awesome.
I haven't worn my Captain America mask to drive in a while, but that's the way. I have so many wonderful masks and stuff. But the thing about it is the reason we do it is not a marketing ploy. It's not an advertising ploy. This is who we are. If you don't like it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Go away. Go somewhere else. If you don't like what's on my menu, I'm okay with you walking away.
Go to Chipotle, catch some salmonella while you're at it.
If you don't like the gnome that I have and that's flashing you with his boxer shorts and boner, go somewhere else, because there are people. It's so funny. Did you just say Chipotle, Amy?
I referenced Chipotle. I said go catch salmonella at Chipotle.
And I thought Amy's like, go get Chipotle. I was like, wow, that would be weird because she can't hear me. She can't hear you.
Long distance high five. All right.
Yeah. He's giving you a long distance high five. Are you in Philly? Where are you at, bro?
No, we're more like Central PA. If you remember the show The Office.
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in that area. And I'm about an hour south of that. So Central PA. The Yingling Brewery, if you're familiar with Yingling Lager, that's close to here.
Okay, because we've got some friends that have a food truck out there called Some Pig.
Some Pig.
It's SUM Pig. They're I think they're in the Philly area. We launched our truck the same week they launched theirs, and I don't remember how we met online, but I've just been, we kind of watch each other's growth over the past couple of years. And I just met actually a doctor today that's eaten from Some Pig that goes to school back there. And I'm like, what is this with Philly? I mean, it's like Cutthroat Kitchen. Angelo was from Philly. Kitchen Consigliere. He owns that place in Philly. Amazing guy, amazing food. Wonderful, wonderful guy. He's so funny. I adore him. Yeah, he was quite the character. I just recently got acquainted with Chef Brian Duffy, and it's just like, what is Philly? I mean, what is it about you guys out that area?
Now let's take a step back. Philly would infer that I was an Eagles fan, which I am not at all. I'm a Steelers fan. I mean, you want to talk Bloods Crips shit? That's what you're getting into when you talk Steelers Eagles. Now, I will say this. Back in the day, one of my greatest culinary memories was taking my wife down to Philly for her 23rd birthday and going to Chestnut Street to Morimoto, and it was literally the 1 week of the year that he was there. And I was at the time the #1 posting Iron Chef Japan fan in the world. Small claim to fame, very small. But he literally walked us through the 12-course omakase, cooking for us across a bar.
Oh my God.
That's fucking unbelievable. So Philly, I mean, a ton of respect. Your sports fans are douchebags, but the food scene in Philly is lighting up. The food scene in general in Pennsylvania is kind of crazy. You should, you ever make a trip out here, brother? You gotta come by. I'll give you a tour.
I want to go travel a bit more and go see some more places and kind of my only place I've been in the past, few years is Detroit for bar rescue, and LA way too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
To I'd love to be able to get out and really explore the bar, not the bar scene, the comfort food scene in a lot of places, and not in the way that that guy does it. I love that he goes in and he checks out these small places, but I would love to find the places that are sitting at the side of the road that have been there for 30 years and sit down with the owner and just go, tell me your stories.
The dirty spoon, the greasy spoon. On our honeymoon, we went to Belize and we got off the cruise ship. And the other 99.9% of the people went to the right, to the tourist traps. My wife and I, the point one, if you will, went to the left, which is a dirt road down into town. And we paid a homeless guy like $5 US, which translated up, to give us a tour. And he walked us around, and I bought him a bag of fruit and everything. And at the end of it, he goes, "Hey, I'm going to take you here." I said, "Where the fuck are we?" And yeah, I knew where the ship was, but I'm like, "Okay, where are we?" And he like knocks on the door, and this old woman comes out of this basement, and she waves us in. She cooked us lobster she caught that morning, like not, feet away, and she was gonna. I forget what the currency conversion was, but again, it was gonna be like $5 US. I left her a 20. I gave her a hug and a kiss. I'm like, that's what I want from food. Give me the memory. And I have my Tony Bourdain picture outside, black and white, lighting a cigarette, my face down to the ground, next to this lady's basement, in Belize, in impoverished Belize. That's where I want to go. And it sounds like you're in the same.
Exactly.
You're in the same wagon.
I love hearing the stories. I love hearing, it's like one of the things that we love to do is we always get together and talk about, our customers and some of the fun things that we come across. And I had somebody like, "Oh, isn't that offensive to your customers or blah, blah." I go, "You know what? If you're dumb enough to walk up to a food truck, look straight at the menu and go, 'Hey, where's your menu?'" Now, I understand that some menus are small. My menu is 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and the each menu item is fluorescent green, and it's written exactly like a regular. I'm doing little air quotations on that one. Menu, but they go, "So what's on this?" or "Do you have this?" Or they'll sit there and they'll read through the whole thing. Now, bear in mind, I do have quite an extensive menu for a food truck, because we kind of go with the Taco Bell model of about 8 things that we put into 20 different ways. Right. But at the same time, it's like, it's no different than if you go sit down at the nice restaurants in town, or you go to BJ's. And I just don't have pictures of everything. But then they seriously will go, "You don't have any chicken? You just 10 items I have." But what's bizarre about it is, what was the one we got the other day, Amy? Oh my God, Michelle's story is my favorite one. Lady walks up to order. We serve a poutines, fried gravy and this, and we had one that has a southern sausage gravy on the fries, a fried egg on it. And she walks up, goes, "I really want those southern fries with the gravy and the egg. Can I get some potatoes with that?"
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna leave it right there, man.
Oh my God.
I was a foot away, sitting on the ground, laughing my ass.
So if they're worried if they're gonna get offended, maybe they should worry about something else first.
And the way I look at it is, if you're offended, you need to look. You're probably because you've done it.
Exactly. I'm looking down the menu site now, and I'm just practically dying a little bit inside.
I know, we're kind of from you, aren't we?
Oh my God! What are you doing to me? Especially that hooch. That hooch is screaming at me 2:30 in the morning after a good night out. Like, come on.
The funny thing about hell yeah, the thing about the hooch is that is a burger I created for the restaurant, or I'm sorry, that the bar I helped rescue in bar rescue, and the bar was called the Hooch. and we were joking about how it needed to be this spicy, salty, decadent burger because the Hooch was definitely that kind of a place.
Mhm.
And when the show aired here in our area, people were hitting us up on Facebook and please tell me you're going to make that burger. Please tell me you're going to make that burger. So yeah, all right, we'll do it. And we thought it would run for, we'd run it for a couple of weeks, and then the novelty of it would wear off. But no, it's been around for about 3 months now, and it's one of our top selling things. And it's the messiest, most white trash burger I think I've ever made.
I'm in. I'm in. I'm in.
We recently just switched because we were doing a smashed tater tots and stuff on it, and we were like, this is just ridiculous. We ran out one day, and I happened to have a thing of potato chips. I'm like, let's just smash potato chips on top of it. And people are like, oh my god, you've got sour cream and onion potato chips piled on top of this burger. Yeah, why not? So I mean, just these are the kind of things that we like to do, and I'm a firm believer in food that your diners will vote with their feet on your food, and they'll either come or they won't. And if they keep coming, yeah, you've got to be doing something right. So
Yeah, you got to stop. If you say to somebody, "I'm going to crumble sour cream and onion potato chips on your food," oh no, well you can't do that. Heavens no, that's improper. And yet, if you give it to them, all of a sudden their opinion changes.
and that's the one thing we try to, one thing with I think with food trucks that a lot of cooks and chefs who have been making the move back and forth embrace and love is the fact that you really can get away with almost anything. You know, I'm we've done some pretty wild and insane ideas. Um, but we've had some experiences that are pretty crazy. But like we did as a joke, just because thought it would be hilarious. We did a Larry the Cable Guy concert, and we did a bologna grilled cheese, and we called it the White Trash Po' Boy. Yeah, it was grilled bologna with shredded lettuce and fire roasted tomatoes and mayonnaise on a toasted roll, and we're like, this will be the White Trash Po' Boy, and we we sold out of it.
No shit. See?
It's sold
See?
out. And then we do the Intergalactic Festival here in West Sac, which started out as the May the 4th Be With You, and we'll write our menu entirely as Star Wars. So it's pretty insane, dude. This is going to be the longest episode of your entire series.
I think, dude, and oddly enough, Betty Fraser ran an hour 31. So I'm just looking at the clock now. I'm like, oh, holy shit, another section of questions. Funny.
Betty is one of my dearest friends. I absolutely love her. He was saying that they had Betty Fraser on. We love Betty.
Betty is a fucking rock star to no end. She embodies blonde Californian ambition, rock starism 101. No question.
We did a pilot together last a couple months back, and oh my god, I think we probably spent on that entire day an hour and a half of people telling her and I to quit laughing.
Oh, no shit. No shit. Because that interview, oh my god, my stomach hurt by the end of it.
And she is so much energy. It's unbelievable. She's an amazing woman, and we had so much fun. This show, this pilot we did, the people that were with us on it, and it's one of the great things is every show I've done, I've stayed really good friends with pretty much everybody I've done it with. And a lot of them have gone on to great success, and a couple of them have gone on to great notoriism. I don't know how you would just...
Yeah. Notoriety would be the...
Yeah, but not for the good, not for people.
Right.
Reasons. But Betty, of all people, I was a huge fan of her on Top Chef, and when she came in to the green room to do this pilot, I fanboyed out.
Oh, of
I was like,
course.
"Oh my God, you're Betty! How did you not kill Marcel?"
Oh my god. I told her when I interviewed her, I'm like, you have no idea. You started the addiction with me. Season 1, I was kind of half in, half out. Betty Fraser was the glue for me. And then of course Ilan, who I've also had on the cast. Great. But I mean Betty's just Betty, man. She's awesome. The limited amount. I'm not saying, I know her well, but she's just an awesome human being. For sure.
I was very excited when they said that we were going to have to go back and do some voiceovers, but also go back and do some reshoots on it. I was like, I get to work with Betty again, and we get to have that little scene part that we did together. That was one of the highlights of any television I've done over the past 2 years. Was just how much fun she was to be around, and I adore her greatly.
Right on.
When she listens to this, she'll turn bright red because she's just rad.
I hope she does. That'd mean the world to me for sure.
I talk shit about her on there.
Right on. Well, hey, because I know your clock's a ticking and mine is too. I want to ask you some of the afters here, and
I'll keep my short and concise, and I'll tell my wife, you gotta edit me real quick, Amy. You gotta. She's sitting here with me.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Say, throw this to me when I talk too much, but I better give her an entire a bag.
No, this is honest to God, and I'm not, fanboying out or anything. And I said in the intro about the whole social media, but there's times when you bump into people on social media and you just know, like, holy shit, that's a lock. And when I first read just your stuff, I'm like, I gotta have this guy on. Not only does he sound like he's about it, but there's no bullshit. He is about it. And I mean, every word thus far, I'd sit here for 3 hours if it weren't for kids, jobs, and fatigue. But I mean, this is what I envisioned episode 1 starting out. Chef Dakota Weiss was my first episode from Top Chef Texas.
Awesome. I adore Dakota. I met her. We met through a mutual friend, Carlos Garcia, who owns Lost Car Apparel. Mm-hmm. And I was in LA. Actually, it was when I shot Man vs. Child. Mm-hmm. I had downtime, and I was like, "What?" I reached out to Carlos. I was like, "What is there to do around here?" And he goes, "You need to come with me to Dakota's friends and family night at Sweetfin."
Yep.
And oh my God, she's amazing. This woman. So hardworking, so talented. I'm such a huge fan of her.
She's the reason I've got 31 episodes, because the one night I Facebook messaged her on a whim, and my wife came up with the idea along with me, and I'm like, would you consider doing this? And dude, not even 5 seconds. Yes.
Yeah,
and I mean, but since then, I actually did copy edit for her mom, Charmaine, on a book she's doing, because I was an English teacher, and all of a sudden, her mom and I are friends, and she's like, "Hey, would you look at this?" I'm like, "All right, I suppose I will. Sure, no problem. I guess I owe you one." But yeah, Sweetfin Estrella now, isn't it?
Yeah, haven't been there yet. Next trip to LA, it's on my list to find.
For sure. So let me ask you, back to the daily grind, which isn't a grind for you. It's a passion for you. If I'm in your food truck, what music do you have cranking?
What music do we have cranking in the food truck? It's Amy's laughing because a lot of it goes from psychobilly to, I had opera on some days, if I like 80s hair band. Last night though, we had some serious hardcore. We had the Metallica Pandora station on.
Nice. And
then I think on the drive home it switched to I switched it over to Lamb of God. There have been nights where I've pulled into the yard blasting Cradle of Filth.
Nice.
Yeah, and the one though There are times when we're just in the goofiest mood, and usually that's about halfway through a huge event where soundtrack for the movie Chef goes on, and I Like It Like That gets played on repeat for about a good hour.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. I love
And
it.
then and that's when we get the truck moving because I start dancing and make the truck shaking. It's so funny. Now Amy's giving me the hurry up and say, but one of the things that's so funny is when we do these concerts out at Thunder Valley Casino, we do a lot of the old one. We did Foreigner, we did Deep Purple. You know, Deep Purple's Highway Star comes on, and I'm headbanging and jumping around, and the drunk people are like going, okay, I don't think I'm that drunk. This truck's moving.
Nice. Nice.
That's a good one. That's a fun one.
Yeah. Oh, there's 2 volumes of the Chef soundtrack too. I didn't know that.
Yes, there are 2 volumes. But I Like It Like That. The first album is the one that just gets everybody going. I know it's pretty freaking rad.
Yeah, it keeps it easy. Keeps it easy. So hypothetical situation. You're going to be stranded on a deserted island, sir. And you can only take 3 foods or food items with you. They can be accessories, what have you. What would they be and why?
Stranded on a desert island with 3 food or 3 food-related items with me. What would they be?
And they would be an unlimited supply of said items.
Unlimited supply beef jerky.
Nice.
Taco Bell tacos.
Yes, yeah. I'm in.
And
hard or soft?
Oh, I like the hard tacos. There's nothing like that corn tortilla. Monster Ultra White. If I had a limited supply of Monsters, the Ultra Zero, the White Ultra Zero.
The White Ultra Zero. I know which one you're talking about.
Live on that forever.
White Ultra Monster, beef jerky, and Taco Bell tacos.
Is that horrible or what?
Holy shit, that's awesome. You're like my new hero now. See, that's the honest answer, though. No one else is going to say that. You heard it here. 31 episodes. Keith is being honest.
Hell yeah, beef. Oh my God, the Asian snack mix. Oh, stop. I could go off on all that stuff. But and then in your horse, we'd have to have, yeah. But yeah, Monster Zero I should have an endorsement from those guys because that's like lifeblood. There's a new one, Ultra Black. Okay, never mind.
But see, that's why you said earlier, I'm not a celebrity yet. Listen, that's why I'm catching you now, man. If there's any kind of a coattail and you get a Monster deal, I'm going to be like, hey, remember that time you plugged Monster on my show, Keith?
Right. We're definitely.
We're down.
Sure.
So, all right, so shifting gears a little bit. Melanie Denea, have you ever read any of her works?
No.
Okay, so she does My Last Supper and The Next Course.
Oh, I have seen those books. I didn't know that's who wrote them, but those are amazing books.
Melanie Denea, she is awesome. We have both. We have them out like in our kitchen on display just because some nights if I'm slinging, my wife will sit at the counter and read to me out of this, and I've heard it hundreds of times, but it never gets old. So the concept behind it is, it's your ticket's getting punched tomorrow, but you've got one last meal. And I know this is the late night game chefs and, food workers in general love to play. What would your last supper be? Food, drink, music, guests.
That is the easiest answer to ever have, and it's turkey with mashed potatoes, fresh corn, not on the cob, but cut corn, and turkey gravy with a bread pudding for dessert. And who would be there? My grandfather, Amy, my wife Amy, and my son Asher, and that's what my grandfather, and that's it. That's the only people that I would want there, because my grandfather, because I get to go hang out with him again now.
Yeah.
And Amy, because she's put up with my crazy ass these many years. But last meal, that would have to be it. Only thing possible.
Right on, man. And finally, the last question, shortest, simplest, and yet most complex. Too many. What is food to you in a single word?
Life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, because it is. It's events. It's sustaining.
You know, I am a huge fan of audiobooks and such. I listen to them constantly, and there's a great series called the Great Lectures on audible.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lecture on food history by undoubtedly the master of food history in America, and that's Ken Albala, Albala. And he is the director of food studies and such at multiple colleges. But he has a lecture on there. It's 18 hours of this lecture on food progression throughout the world. And he makes a point, and I try to push this point. It's one thing we got to think about a lot is food is the only thing that you have to do every single day, but you have to put effort into it. Mm-hmm. And you know, it's necessary for life. It is everything about our lives, and you have to put effort in. And it's the biggest motivator behind anything is the food, the search for food, the improvement of food, everything. And it's life. And if we don't treat it as such, and we don't respect it and the industry behind it as such, then we're missing out.
Completely, 100%, man. God damn. I mean, we rode the roller coaster this interview, huh? We're all ending on a somber note. It's like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go now. Oh.
No, it's like, look, man, this is it. This is what life is.
That's it.
And if you don't understand it and you don't know about it, you're missing out.
Yeah, and you don't need to have a food truck or a podcast, but appreciate it for what it is. Respect
the craft and respect the item.
Yeah.
There is no greater honor given to our earth than taking the products of it and making them enjoyable for another person, whether it be fine dining or as simple as a 99-cent taco from Taco Bell. Yeah. And that's the ultimate respect we can pay to anything, I think.
Man, I honestly, I don't want to wrap this. But I know you and I got shit to do, and we've got wives who are probably giving us the stink eye going, come on already, we get it. Man, Keith, thank you, brother. I really appreciate this. This has been a great time.
Oh, it's been a blast for me. I appreciate you, and we should probably pick up part 2 in a couple weeks, huh?
I'm thinking. Listen, I'm going to be doing a panel show down the road of past guests, so I would very much enjoy, and if there's ever any time that you need a talking head on any of your ventures, you know where to find me.
Well, we have more conversation to pick up on, my friend.
Right on, man. Right on. So, Culinerdy Cruzer Food Truck, nerdytruck.com, 916-512-0221. Catch him now before he blows up, and he's going to blow up big. Not that he hasn't already, but I think there's bigger, better, faster, stronger.
There's always better.
You got it, man. Keith, thanks so much again, buddy. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great night, man. Take care.
All right, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 31 of the Coarse podcast. With me, as always, my producer, Reverend Johnny Lamoria, a.k.a. Johnny Leland Robinson. Be sure to check out his next episode of Cinematic Pig's Feet, the podcast of Gonzo Cinema. And the next episode, episode 32, we'll be sending the elevator back down to help an up-and-coming wine podcast. Be sure to stay tuned. Take care.
Good night, bud.